From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Samantha Lumibao. Cronkite News is proud and dedicated to covering issues to protect your health, your money, and your way of life. Tonight, some of our top coverage comes from our consumer reporting team.
The California Camp Fire destroyed the town of Paradise, but now the state is looking to rebuild. Reporter Jennifer Alvarez shows us how APS is lending a helping hand in this effort.
It's an early morning for these APS workers, but it won't be their last. They're just about ready to head off to California to help get electricity back on in Paradise. They say their last goodbyes to family and get ready for more than 2 months of 14-hour days. But they weren't selected to do this. Rather, all of these people volunteered to do so.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to give back and hopefully be a little bit of light in the ashes that these people have had to go through.
But they're not just turning the power back on like they might do for your home after a monsoon storm. They're helping rebuild the entire power grid from scratch.
Poles will be gone, wires will be gone. It's really starting over, so it's a lot of work. It'll take a lot of time.
It's a heavy ground effort. You're rebuilding the entire infrastructure of their power. It's literally ground up build, everything.
And they're not the only company lending a helping hand to our neighboring state.
And there's folks coming as far as New York and Hawaii and all over the country to come and help get this done.
They're estimating over 3,000 utility workers from all over the United States.
And at the end of the day, they're thankful they can help.
It's actually a very humbling experience to go. It's very humbling for these guys to volunteer to go over there, you know, during the holiday time. 3 weeks of that is gone, and it'll be very rewarding, very rewarding.
In total, 2 groups from APS will be heading to Paradise, California. The next group is expected to depart November 30th.
Arizona utilities are working to keep electric lines from starting wildfires here in our state. Cronkite News reporter JIMMIE Jackson explains what they watch out for and how you can help.
The Camp Fire in Northern California is contained, but the investigation continues into what caused this catastrophic wildfire. A downed power line may be to blame. This fire highlights the challenges utility companies face with powering communities in forested areas. In northern Arizona, the threat of wildfires is high, and utility companies like Arizona Public Service recognize the importance of keeping lines clear.
We serve over 1.2 million customers, all the way up from the Grand Canyon, all the way down to Douglas, Arizona on the Mexico border. And we have a lot of those lines that run through really heavily forested areas.
APS relies on customers who live in forested communities to take precautions.
It's making sure that yards are clear of brush, that there's sod around yards, that if you do see a tree that's too close to a line, you're calling APS and having us come cut it away before it gets too dry and fire season's in full swing.
They also do annual line inspections to make sure that they are free of trees and debris.
SRP has much less lines running through forested areas, but its interest in preventing wildfires has more to do with protecting Arizona's water supply.
So much of our water supply comes from the forested mountains of northern Arizona, from the Flagstaff and Williams area all the way to the White Mountains. And those forests, because of the recent drought and management decisions that have been made over the past 100 years, are at extreme risk of wildfire.
Salt River Project wants agencies like the U.S. Forest Service to thin overgrown forests to help prevent catastrophic fires like the Rodeo Chedisky fire in 2002. It was one of the worst fires in Arizona's history.
If we can reduce it so that entire landscapes don't burn like happened in the Rodeo Chedisky fire, then the watershed is then protected in our water supply.
Both utility companies realize the reality. There are a lot more people living in forested communities, and that makes preventing wildfires harder. In Phoenix, JIMMIE Jackson, Cronkite News.
In 2015, the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection said that wildfires sparked by power lines burned the most acreage.
Welding, trucking, bridge construction, ADOT is working with contractors to increase the number of women and minorities working in a wide range of construction jobs. Reporter Charisma Sandoval explains how the program helped one woman start her own trucking business.
The Arizona Department of Transportation is drilling down into how to encourage more women to take up construction careers, everything from building roads to building houses. Patricia McKinley went through the program and ended up starting her own trucking business.
It showed me that there is a great need for promotion of encouraging other women to get moving forward. Because we can do it.
Program manager Corey Foster says bringing more women and minorities into the ADOT Construction Academy is filling an industry need.
So a lot of the contractors are concerned that, hey, we are hiring, projects are increasing, opportunities are increasing in the Valley and in Arizona, but the workforce does not have the skills that they need to go forth. And so the Academy kind of bridges the gap for that.
According to the U.S. Department of Labor, more than 90% of workers in the construction industry are men. Foster says women battle discrimination in a male-dominated industry.
And women expressing their frustration, saying, why I have to interview more, or like, why am I being vetted more than everybody else?
After graduating from the program, Iris Boss decided to teach safety and flagging for the ADOT Academy at a Gila Community College facility in Miami, Arizona, where students get hands-on experience.
As an instructor, I just try to remind my students that I've been in their seats and I know how it is, and that there is a way to further their education if they just give it a chance and take the time to do it.
When students complete their specific program, they get a certificate and free equipment for the job. Now, when participants graduate from the ADOT construction program, they are gifted with all the tools to succeed in the construction industry, from the boots to the hard hat, all the way to the safety goggles. More than 200 women have graduated since the program originally launched in 2014.
We live in these communities that we're building up and reconstructing, so I want to see women in the communities that they're building in, working in.
In Miami, Charisma Sandoval, Cronkite News.
Corey Foster says graduates can be placed directly into jobs in just a few days. ADOT also says in the last year, 301 Native Americans who went through the program were placed directly into the industry.
AAA Arizona is expecting more than 900,000 drivers to take to the roads this holiday season. Reporter Charisma Sandoval explains how transportation experts are working together to make sure you have safe travels.
Law enforcement officials asked travelers to add one thing to their holiday list: patience.
We know that everyone wants to get to their destination. We want you to get to your destination, but we want you to get there safely.
Trooper Cameron Lee says DPS has a plan to monitor congested areas of the road from now through New Year's Day.
What we're going to do is we'll actually up our manpower in certain areas to make sure that we can respond quickly to incidents. The goal is for us to keep traffic moving.
Accidents on major highways are also a concern. ADOT spokesman Doug Nitzel says they work with DPS to stop drivers who are impaired, speeding, or not wearing their seatbelts.
We're utilizing our signs along the highways, making sure there are messages out there, giving drivers updates on highway conditions, as well as safety messages. And of course, DPS has the role of being there as the enforcement agency.
Officials say over the 3 holiday weekends last year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, 41 people died in vehicle crashes. AAA Arizona is also expecting more drivers to need help on the road.
The majority of those calls will be as a result of 3 main reasons: lockouts, calls for battery help, so needing a driver needing a jump start to their vehicle, as well as tire trouble.
Spokeswoman Michelle Donati says drivers should be doing their pre-trip checks, or they'll be spending the holidays with a roadside assistance driver.
A lot of our drivers tell us that during the holiday season that people are offering them plates of food. They're trying to provide them with kind of a Thanksgiving dinner to go, since they're spending the holiday away from their family in order to serve others.
AAA Arizona expects to respond to nearly 7,000 motorists this Thanksgiving week, and even more during the Christmas and New Year holidays. In Phoenix, Charisma Sandoval, Cronkite News.
ADOT encourages all people traveling for the holidays to pack an emergency prep kit with flashlights, food, and water in case of a major road delay, especially during winter weather in the high country.
We had Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and now today's Giving Tuesday. While you may want to give back, you might want to make sure you're giving to the right places. Reporter Tanaya Williamson has more on making sure your donations aren't in vain.
Giving Tuesday is a great way to kick off the season of helping those in need. especially for places like the St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance, who need donations to keep running.
We rely almost totally on donations, so it really matters. From just last week when we handed out more than 11,000 turkeys for our Thanksgiving holiday distribution, to just the daily, the 250,000 meals that we provide to the folks in Arizona.
And while St. Mary's is a reputable nonprofit, the same can't be said for everyone.
It may be a cause that you're interested in, but it may not be the actual charity that's getting the money to the cause that you're trying to help.
The IRS has developed an online tool that allows you to enter information on a charity to confirm whether or not they are a tax-exempt organization. It's as simple as logging on to www.irs.gov and making your way to the Charities and Nonprofits tab. From there, you want to scroll down to the Tax-Exempt Organization search. Now, you'll be able to enter information on your charity and check it out. You can search by using the employer identification number or simply using the organization name. Make sure that the city, state, and country are correct, and you're good to start your search. The organization you're looking up should pop up below. You can click on the link for more information on what their deductibility looks like and to see whether or not they are a public or private organization. This is a great tool to give with a clear mind and know where your money is going. In Phoenix, Tanaya Williamson, Cronkite News.
Some other ways to avoid scams during the holiday season is watching out for name similarities, avoiding places that don't disclose requested information, and being aware of those trying to appeal to your emotions.
The city of Chandler is giving residents a new way to help people experiencing homelessness. I went to Chandler to see how using your phone can now make a difference. It's a new campaign launched by the city of Chandler this month. It's called Change Up, a joint effort between the city of Chandler and a collection of nonprofits and faith-based organizations. The goal, to reduce panhandling and assist those experiencing homelessness. And it's all done through text.
By texting Change Up to 44321, we can help people get off the street.
Community Resource Manager Ryan Balch says these text donations will make more of a direct impact.
This money is really going right to our homeless navigators that will go and find people who are living on the street and start to engage with them to get them the services they need.
Since 2014, the number of unsheltered people in Maricopa County has gone up about 150%. This program ultimately hopes to reduce these numbers by targeting the people who give.
Every time someone gives to someone that's on the street, it sort of enables them to stay out another day. So while their intent is very good and their need is real, it's not helping that person move on to the next part of their journey. Our hope is that people will stop giving to that real immediate short-term need and start giving to that long-term forever need.
Alzheimer's affects more than just the person diagnosed with the disease. It can take a toll financially, emotionally, and physically of people of all ages. Reporter Tanaya Williamson met with people who have dealt with Alzheimer's in a number of ways.
According to the Alzheimer's Association, in the United States, Alzheimer's disease affects 1 in 3 seniors. And it doesn't just impact those living with it. It touches the lives of loved ones as well. I talked with several people about the impact of the disease and what it's had on their families.
I sometimes have to turn around and count to 10. There's a lot of frustration because you are human after all, and you have to just remember that this is they're not doing anything on purpose.
As Alzheimer's progresses, it can become costly.
On average, the cost of long-term care, this is the big one, in Maricopa County, Pima County, and Pinal County is about $7,200 a month.
Tyler White is an elder law attorney who handles many cases of elders making financial plans for Alzheimer's.
That's kind of something that makes a lot of people very, very nervous because most people in retirement don't have $7,000 of income.
Dawn Pumain is a caregiver for her mother, who is currently battling early stages of Alzheimer's. She lost her father to the disease 5 years ago and has concerns about being able to provide her mother with the care that she needs.
There may come a time where I can't provide for my mom. There was a time when I couldn't do everything for my dad. So I know that that's possibly in the future. And I hope that when I get to that point that I'll be okay with it.
83% of the help provided to older adults in the United States comes from family members, friends, or other unpaid caregivers, and nearly half of caregivers who provide care to elders do so for someone with Alzheimer's. Harry and Penny Palabeski have been married for 51 years. Harry has been living with Alzheimer's for the past 2.
So he's still in the baby stages. And it's still, I've still got quite a bit of memory, but we know what's going.
The Palabeskis say they have prepared for the possible financial toll.
Yeah, we started our financial planning way back when. And with me, the job I had, he was putting money away in an account out of our paychecks. Okay, so when I left, I had a nice amount of money waiting for me.
While many do plan financially, the amount that goes into care often depletes what was once saved up, especially if you keep your loved one at home and have nurses brought in.
Care can oftentimes be more expensive at home than it is in a facility. And I've seen people spending $20,000 a month, $25,000 a month on in-home care.
Harry is still in the early stages and is choosing to enjoy each moment while he can.
Well, don't worry about it until it happens, number one. I know I have it, but I still have a lot left in me before it really does take a horrible effect on me.
There are over 170,000 people living with Alzheimer's in Arizona and southern Nevada. In the broadcast center, Tanai Williamson, Cronkite News.
Wearable technology is being promoted as helping to monitor people's health. But does it? Cronkite News reporter Samantha Lomibao talked to Valley doctors who warn that a new Apple Watch may have benefits, but also some risks.
The Apple Watch Series 4 is equipped with a feature built to track someone's heartbeats and detect falls. But one Phoenix cardiologist I talked to says the monitor could detect heart problems that don't exist or not detect a true health emergency.
It also could be falsely reassuring. Somebody could be having symptoms of, say, a heart attack or other heart issues, and the Apple Watch isn't designed to detect those, and they may be falsely reassured.
Dr. Todd Hurst says it shouldn't be your sole source of information. Mesa radiologist Penny Bowen says the fall detection feature, for the most part, is beneficial.
So having the accelerometer and the gyroscope detect quick motions, it can differentiate between a fall and just a bending motion because of the speed that your wrist is moving and the sharp angle that it's taking downward.
According to the World Health Organization, falls are one of the leading causes of accidental injury.
When you have osteoporosis, if you have a fall injury, you're more apt to have a fracture. So this person was lucky enough not to have a fracture, but this is a typical site that we see fractures, especially when people try to brace themselves for a fall.
She says there is a potential disadvantage with the fall detection. The feature will automatically call an emergency contact or 911 if there isn't a response within a minute of the alert.
If we find that we're going to have a lot of unnecessary 911 calls when people are perhaps accidentally dropping their watch off their nightstand.
Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook says the health features help people. In May, he tweeted media accounts of a Florida teen who said the watch revealed a life-threatening condition. He called her case inspiring. Dr. Hurst says physicians are excited for the potential patients to better access to their own healthcare information at the flick of a wrist, but it's good not to be swayed too soon by marketing promises. Samantha Lomibao, Cronkite News.
Our Cronkite News reporter Sammy Giebers had to put on quite a few extra warm layers for this next story. She followed researchers into a freezer to learn more about what local groups are doing to sustainably store food in sub-zero temperatures.
So you have to put the jackets and the hats and gloves and everything.
Any guesses as to what these researchers are gearing up for?
I enjoy doing the studies for my lab as opposed to in the freezer itself.
Here's a hint.
And it's telling us that right now we're running at a chilly -18, which is exactly where we want to be.
It's -18 degrees in this ice cream freezer. Researchers and developers are coming up with a more sustainable way to keep all of your frozen treats cold.
This is my kids' favorite project that I do because I'm keeping their ice cream cold.
ASU researchers Bash's, SRP, and Viking Cold Solutions have come up and installed those guys. Way up there, they're face change material. They act like ice packs, like the one you might put in your lunchbox.
And the idea is that it's gonna store the cold stuff that we need, and then it's gonna release that cold slowly when it's getting hotter outside and when energy is getting more expensive.
It takes a lot of energy to keep Bash's ice cream freezer cold, especially during a summer in Chandler.
Annually, they use about as much power as 1,000 of our homes.
And these thermal energy storage systems allows Bash's to turn off their air conditioners during peak hours.
It's important for us to be thinking about the future, thinking about innovative ways to conserve energy, thinking about sustainability.
Okay. Here we go. And Kristen Parrish hopes that this sustainability project will expand to other parts of the valley and other freezers. In Chandler, a very cold Sammy Gievers for Cronkite News.
SRP said these warehouses take up a significant amount of power, especially in summer months. Projects like this can help reduce energy and fossil fuel use.
The delicacy known as uni comes from red sea urchins, which are often harvested off California's coast. Unfortunately for sushi lovers, the purple sea urchin is outcompeting the red sea urchin for food. Cronkite reporter Emily Four explains how this is stressing not only the ecosystem, but sea urchin harvesters as well.
Come on aboard.
Jeff Mawson has been diving and selling red sea urchins off the Santa Barbara coast for 30 years.
Yeah, it would break my heart if I couldn't do it anymore.
The gonad meat of the red sea urchin is often served at sushi bars, but these urchins are in trouble. Mawson says climate change has shifted ocean temperatures, and warmer water has allowed purple sea urchins to grow in number.
So what's happening in Southern California, as all up through San Francisco, is we're getting warmer water, more abundance, higher abundance of warmer water. We're seeing more El Niños, we're seeing warmer water currents dominating our coastal ecosystem, and that's changing everything as we used to know it.
That change? The purple sea urchins are devouring all the food.
We've had mega blooms of purple sea urchins all along the California coast. That has overcompeted with the red sea urchins for available food.
As a result, kelp, what red sea urchins survive on, is declining.
The red sea urchins are starving to death. Everything's getting stressed right now because of lack of food and the lack of healthy ecosystem.
Dr. Jen Cassell is a research biologist at the Marine Science Institute at the University of California, Santa Barbara.
The northern California coast of California has taken a beating, and the kelp loss is almost 100%. Almost 100%.
Cassell says kelp loss affects the entire underwater ecosystem.
The whole system basically collapses because the kelp provides both homes for other animals, and it provides the food.
Cassell and Mawson say collaboration between researchers and fishermen is important to try and help save the red sea urchin.
Fishermen have a huge wealth of natural history knowledge and knowledge about their fishery and knowledge about the organisms that they're fishing, and scientists would do well to listen to them.
Put faith in your local marine biologists and your scientists and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and demand that they work towards solutions, constructive solutions, to fix this problem.
The California Fish and Game Commission has increased the daily bag limit for purple sea urchins off Mendocino and Sonoma counties in an effort to control their population. In Los Angeles, Emily Four, Cronkite News.
In 2016, California's statewide red sea urchin landings dropped to a new low of 5.3 million pounds, the lowest it's been since the 1970s.
Water, light, and sound are all coming together to create art along the Scottsdale waterfront. Scottsdale Public Art is hosting its Canal Convergence next week, which is a 10-day interactive art exhibit in and around Scottsdale's canals. Reporter Jimmy Jackson takes a look at how one artist is educating the community on how his piece works.
He asked us to go out and, make recordings and email that to him. And also, so today I literally had my phone with me for more than an hour as I went through all these morning things.
And those recordings made by Linda Inger will be used by artist Ryan Edwards. He held a workshop to show art lovers how his artwork is created and will be featured at this year's Canal Convergence. The event is a collaboration between Scottsdale Public Art and the Salt River Project to create an immersive experience combining water, light, and art. The art installation that Edwards will feature at the exhibit also adds sound to that combination.
It's called sound sculpture, and I consider it a location-aware musical instrument.
So each of the cubes reports its coordinates in space back to my computer. So wherever you move those cubes in space will actually change the melodic notes.
Edwards says that he set his sights on sound sculpture 4 years ago, and it took him a year to build. He says interactive art like this is all about allowing people the freedom to explore the piece and letting their interest make them want to ask questions about how it works.
A lot of my job is kind of standing by and watching people play with it, and then waiting for people to start to ask me questions or start to get curious, whether they figured it out or whether they have questions about how it works, or technically, or artistically, or all kinds of things.
The workshop was a short crash course on how the art integrates technology and the sampling of sounds, so when they actually experience the sound sculpture, they will know exactly how it works.
I saw the video that they were showing, stills of when they were setting up the guts of the light cubes and all the technology that goes out. And they've been working on developing this software and hardware, and it's art and technology. That's what's so cool about it.
Edwards says interactive art gives him the ability to engage people and create music without weeks of lessons to help people understand it.
It's a long-standing concept of just participation, of bringing people together, kind of like changing the idea of art being something that is just like really passive for the viewer to something that's active for a participant.
The sound sculpture will be one of many large-scale interactive pieces at Canal Convergence. In Scottsdale, Jimmy Jackson, Cronkite News.
Canal Convergence is in its 6th year now, and people will be able to attend the free art show from November 9th until the 18th.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.